Tidewater has certainly made waves in the offshore support vessel sector in recent years, consolidating companies across continents. Hi, it's Marcus Hand, editor of Seatrade Maritime News here, and today we'll be in conversation with Quintin V, President and CEO of Tidewater, to talk about the company's latest acquisition, the current market, staying connected with crew, and its 70th anniversary. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Quintin back to the podcast.
Marcus, thank you for having me back.
No, it's great, and thanks for taking the time to talk to our listeners again. Now, the big news with Tidewater this year, that's been your latest acquisition in Brazil. Could you tell us a bit more about this?
Absolutely. It's Wilson Sons Ultra Tug. It's a fleet of 22 vessels in Brazil. 19 of them are Brazilian built. That's a key point. Really excited about it. Brazil is going to be a very strong market over the next several years, and this gives us a strong entry point with a great fleet, great people, well-trained mariners. The Wilson's group as a whole, they really do shipping well, and the mariners are well-trained, the boats are well-maintained, so it's a great acquisition, and I'm really excited about it.
So what made Wilson Sons Ultra Tug particularly attractive in this market?
Well, there's a couple of things I would say. One is, when you work in Brazil, if you have a Brazilian-built vessel, you get special preferences. And we have always been there as an international operator, so we're always at risk of getting kicked off hire or getting pushed out of country. And now with this base of 19 vessels, we're a permanent fixture in Brazil, and it allows us to bring in extra vessels. When you have a Brazilian-built vessel, you can bring in other vessels that are international flagged and get that same protection. So it's great from that perspective. 19 of them are of the same design and built in the same yard, and so that just makes it great for a ship owner. The equipment is the same. You train one set of mariners, and they're trained on all 20 vessels. So it's great for maintenance. It's great for spares and so forth. So I'm really excited about the fleet and the special privileges that we get with having a Brazilian flag fleet in Brazil.
What's important about those special privileges?
Well, if you're an international boat owner in Brazil, you are always subservient to a Brazilian flagged owner. So they can kick you off hire. You don't get all the privileges that you would otherwise get as a local owner. And that makes it very risky for foreign owners to be in Brazil. However, with that special privilege of being able to bring in foreign tonnage because you have Brazilian-built tonnage, that gives you the ability to expand your fleet in Brazil and have those same protections. So it's a really unique cabotage feature. We don't see that really any other place in the world. And so we're glad to be there and glad to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that is quite an unusual regulation, actually.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying the Seatrade Maritime podcast, make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing on the app of your choice. Now, what's the sort of timeline for completing this acquisition?
Well, we're hopeful to get it done by the end of the second quarter, but it looks like it's going to go into the third quarter. We've got antitrust approval, and now we're working with the banks to transfer the debt, and that should happen in the next 60 to 90 days.
So once that 60 to 90 day period is completed and the acquisition is completed, you will start integrating Wilson Sons Ultra Tug into Tidewater's wider network?
Quite frankly, we've already begun that process. The folks at Wilson's have been very accommodating, and they're very professional. And so they've been sharing data with us ever since we signed the transaction. We've had people visiting their offices since the last part of the first quarter. And we're beginning the integration planning, and we're doing testing of all the systems. So my hope is that regardless of when the transaction closes, we'll have it all integrated by the early part of 27.
Okay, great. That's really quick for something like that.
It's really impressive, and I'm excited about it.
I'm sure you are. I think I have to ask this question, though. You've been a major consolidator in the market. Are you still looking at more M&A after this?
I'm always looking at M&A because I just think that's the right way to grow the business today. Historically, I've said, hey, I'm focused in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico to try and find some more Jones Act vessels, but I just really haven't been able to get anything done there. The prices are just too high, and I don't think they're worth it. But there's definitely opportunities throughout the world. There's other opportunities in Asia and Europe, and so I'm hopeful to take advantage of those in the coming year.
Is there anything specific on your radar right now?
Well, nothing specific, but I'm definitely focused on expanding the fleet and expanding the fleet's capability. I look for ways to increase our presence in a particular geography or in a particular vessel class. And so I look for things that complement that strategy.
Okay. And just to sort of clarify this point, this latest acquisition will make you the largest offshore vessel owner in the world?
Absolutely. Largest and oldest.
That is quite a
Well, sorry, I
statistic.
said oldest company, one of the youngest fleets, but it's one of the oldest
Oh,
company.
obviously understood that. And mentioning that, the oldest company, it is the 70th anniversary this year.
That's very exciting. So I'm really excited, and everyone's having a great time celebrating it. We've got a few initiatives that we're working on to help celebrate it. We have a couple of programs that we do on a routine basis, but one that's really unique for this year is we're putting out videos about the history of the company and what the culture of the company is, and how it makes us different and how it makes us unique. And so that's fun. And then we've got some contests going on region by region where there's different contests where mariners have the opportunity to participate in it and win prizes. Here in Asia, they're doing a T-shirt contest related to Tidewater and the values and the 70th anniversary. In the U.S., we're having a big barbecue cookout, so that's going to be fun. It's really Texas style. So every region is doing something on its own that's unique to its culture and then to the nationality and where it sits. And then we have some ongoing contests. We have a contest that we call A Message from Home, which is the ability to communicate with our mariners on how important safety is and how important it is to always get home safe.
That's great. And I like the way you're sort of regionalizing it as well.
Yeah. It's funny. Each region is unique, but then we have this overlying culture of values that we try to instill in everybody that works for us.
Although I can imagine most people would enjoy a big cookout wherever they were in the world.
I think so. Definitely in Texas.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm going to switch gears somewhat now, talk a little bit about the market. And it's kind of hard to talk about this year without looking at the situation in the Middle East.
Yes.
Now, obviously, Tidewater has a presence in that region. So how have you managed operations during the conflict and kept your crews and staff safe?
It's been challenging. The vessels that are operating in the Middle East, and we have about 50 vessels, they've been real busy because they were active in moving the jackups out of harm's way, decrewing manned platforms and doing other things as far as prepping the area to make sure it's as safe as possible during the conflict. We did have a few boats that went off hire because they started laying off vessels. They saw the Aramco. So they're all back on hire again. And with hopefully the conflict there easing, there'll be a lot of work moving the vessels back out. Moving the rigs back out. And so as a result, I expect there to be robust activity in that area, even though there's been a lot of hardship that's come as a result of the conflict.
Yeah. Are things operating more normally now in that region? Or?
Difficult getting mariners in and out. Because the area and some of the airports were shut down, moving crew around has been really difficult. And quite frankly, it's been hard to get crew that want to go to that area in order to work. So, but we are paying hazardous duty pay to help incentivize them to work and be rewarded for the risks that they're taking on. But most of it's getting back to normal, but it's certainly not back to normal today.
Okay, let's hope it does get back to normal as soon as possible. Now, if we look more broadly at the outlook for the offshore vessels market, maybe we could look at this by region where Tidewater operates?
So a lot of different things happening around the world. The UK sector in particular has been really soft in the last year and a half or so. It's been regulatory driven more than demand driven, but it's pushed a lot of work into Norway and into the Mediterranean. So we've been picking up a lot of work in Norway, picking up work in Libya and other places within the Mediterranean. And so those areas have been stronger while the UK has been a little bit softer. The entire continent of South America has been strong. So this is Guyana, Suriname, Brazil. I mean, there's just a lot of good finds in those areas and they're being developed. West Africa earlier in the year was somewhat soft, but it seems to be coming back strong in the latter part of 26 and into 27. So this is Namibia and Angola, but also Equatorial Guinea, and then the conflict, the conflict with Iran, it has really gotten people refocused on energy security. So areas like Indonesia and some other areas in Southeast Asia, they are accelerating programs that they were already looking to do, but maybe if they were going to do it in 28, they're doing it in 27. And if they're going to do it in 29, they're going to do it in 28. So they're moving up a lot of work in order to spur the independence that they're looking for and the energy security that they're looking for.
So that means less reliance on the Middle East, does it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we talked earlier about sort of M&A side of growth. What about if we look at, say, new buildings and second-hand vessel acquisitions? Is that something that you're looking at?
Well, not yet on the new builds. The industry is in a great position, but it's still not earning its cost of capital. I still think we need a couple of good years, and we need the ability to push day rates up another $8,000 in total before we get to a point where I say, okay, this industry is fully recovered, and we want to add some vessels to it. So I think that's still a couple of years away, at least for Tidewater. I've been more interested in consolidating. It is a highly fragmented industry, and we can get really good boats at decent prices, and economically that's proven to be a better answer for us than new builds. So we'll continue to do that. We're looking for fleets more than we're looking for just one-off vessels.
Yeah.
And so, the one-off vessel is fine, but generally we get a better deal if we buy in bulk. And so that's why we do it that way.
Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it, buy in bulk. Actually, I'd like to ask you about, we're sitting in Singapore in your Asia Pacific HQ, so talk a little bit about what you're doing here over these last few days.
It's been a special couple of days for me, Marcus, because the 25th of June is the International Day of the Seafarer. And we try to make a point on that day to reach out to our crews and just show them the love that they deserve for doing all that they do for Tidewater. And so from my perspective, it was really fun. I got to get on some vessels, and we got to see people and shake hands and take some pictures with everyone and have some contests and have a meal. And it's a lot of fun, but we get to celebrate the seafarer themselves. And I think they appreciate it, and we certainly want them to know that we appreciate them.
How important is it for somebody like a senior leader like yourself to actually get out onto the ground or the sea and meet these people?
I think it's critical. I do, because they need to hear it from me that we're setting a tone in this organization, that they're valuable and we respect them. And there's times when we need to do things differently, or we need to modify behaviors because the world is changing. And if I have that connection with them, and if my senior management team has that connection with them, it makes that process a little easier. So working with them and engaging with them is an important part of making sure the business runs well.
I can see that's very important. Now, obviously, the fleet the size you've got, you cannot be visiting every vessel.
True. I can't. With the Wilson's vessels, we'll be about 225, and I still think that we can grow to 300. And of course, I can't spend that much time on the boats, but we have different ways. So I send out videos on a regular basis to the crews, and I talk to them a little bit about what I'm thinking as it relates to the business and other things that we're focused on, initiatives and things like that. And then we'll do podcasts. So we will, but internal podcasts where I'll get our safety guy on, and we'll talk about safety culture, and we'll talk about things that we're doing initiative wise on safety. And so that's kind of fun. And then we also have this newsletter, which I think is great. We call it The Bridge, and it comes out every quarter. And I think it's up to like 80 pages now. And it's got pictures of everybody enjoying what they're doing on the boats, and stories of what's happening at sea, as well as bringing an awareness of what's happening at the corporate level and so forth. So we use all these tools to try and reach out to them and engage with them.
You mentioned the fleet size there, 225 vessels after the acquisition. But you also said it's a very fragmented market. What sort of percentage of the market does this give you?
225, I think that's like 6 or 7%. So it's really fragmented. So there's a lot more consolidation that could occur in the industry. I don't know that it will, but there's definitely some fleets out there that I would enjoy, bringing into the Tidewater families.
Be interesting to see what happens on that front. Now, we seem to be making these podcasts an annual event, which is great. So assuming that we meet up again in a year's time, what would you like to have achieved in Tidewater over that 12-month period?
Well, I hope that I have another acquisition that we could talk about for sure, because I want to continue to grow the capabilities of the fleet and grow the business. And so that's certainly important to me. And I think things around the world will be changing. I mean, I hope that all these geopolitical conflicts that are out there get resolved, and the world comes back together and starts focusing on building things and needing boats and all of that good stuff that comes with progress. And so hopefully we'll be in a really strong market.
Great. I really hope that all comes out the way you are hoping for.
Right.
Quintin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to our listeners.
Marcus, thanks. I look forward to talking again next year.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Seatrade Maritime podcast, and we look forward to joining you on our next episode.